Hey guys, welcome back to Data with Dominic. Today we're going to be looking at foreign key constraints in SQL Server or T-SQL. So what is a foreign key constraint? Basically, the foreign key constraint is a constraint that is used to prevent actions that would destroy links between tables in a relational database. So a relational database is built on the premise that these separate disparate tables are interconnected with these relationships, right? One to many, many to many relationships. And one of the tools which we use, which makes it easier for us to build these relationships, is the primary key and the foreign key constraint. We looked at the primary key in the previous video. Today we're going to be looking at the foreign key constraint. So the foreign key is a field in one table that usually refers to the primary key column in another table. So what that means is, say you had a table called customers with a lot of customer data for your company, and then you would normally give a column like customer ID the primary key value for a table like that, right? Because every customer will have a unique ID. So what the foreign key comes in and does is, when you have another table that points or links to that table, say orders, in this case if your company is e-commerce company or something, suppose you had a column called a table called orders, and it's just it's a table with a list of all the orders that have come into your company. These orders come from your customers, right? So each order would be uniquely specified by its order ID, but each order ID would be linked with a particular customer, right? So that customer ID can be used to uniquely refer to which customer is purchasing this particular order from the customer table, and we would use the customer ID in the orders table to point to them. So in this situation, the customer ID in the orders table will be the foreign key, and it will be pointing to the primary key in the customer table, which is the customer ID itself, right? So it'll become clear to you when we do the demo. But another important thing to remember is that the table with the foreign key is called the child table, and the table with the primary key is called the referenced or parent table. And unlike primary keys, foreign keys can accept null values. So let's just look into the demo so that this becomes clear for you. I've already executed a bit of the code, which is I've just created a very basic customer ID table, and then what I've done is I've inserted 2 rows of data just to keep this very simple for you, and I've run this just to show you the data. So we've just got a very basic customer ID, last name, first name, and age. So that's, you have 2 customers at your company. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create an orders table. All right, so we've created a table orders with an order ID, an order number, and a person ID. In this case we don't need the person here, it's basically just a customer ID. So how this works is, this ID here is going to be the customer ID, so we'll call it customer ID, and it is going to point to which customer in our previous customer table basically made this particular order, which will be uniquely designated by the order ID, and hence we've given it the primary key in the orders table. So customer ID needs to point to which customer made a particular order, and we can basically do that using a foreign key, right? So how the foreign key works is, we specify the column name, the data type, and then we write foreign key followed by references, and after that we write the table name which we want to connect to, customers in this case, and which specific column in that table we want to link the foreign key to. So it's ID, so we put ID inside the bracket, and that should be good for us. So let's create this table orders. So the table orders was created. Now let's insert some orders in there. All right, so we've basically got 3 orders that we want to insert, and when we view this data, we can see that we've got 3 unique orders with the unique order IDs 1, 2, 3. We've got the order number, and then we've got the customer ID who made the order. So the first order was made by customer with the ID 1, and the second and third order were made by customers with ID 2. So these 2 are orders by the same customer, but the important thing to remember is that 1 and 2 are customers who already exist in our customers table. So if we just go back to the customers table and run this, you can see we have customers entered with ID 1 and 2. So coming back to our orders table, only 1 and 2 are able to place orders, since only 1 and 2 are customers in our system in the customers table. So say we did something like insert into orders values order ID 401, just to keep it uniform, and we said 3, customer ID 3, but we don't have a customer whose ID is 3 in our previous customer table. So what this does is this basically breaks the link from this table to this orders table to the customers table for that particular row, and the foreign key prevents that, because it checks whether there is a 3 existing in the customers table, and only if the 3 is existing, it allows this row to be inserted into the orders table. So let's run this. It should not work, and you can see we've got an error. The insert statement conflicted with the foreign key constraint. That's the error you're going to get. So as you can see, that doesn't work. But what happens if we create a customer with the ID 3? Just to save you time, I won't change any other details, but I'll just execute these 2 lines so you can see the table. So now we've got a customer with ID 3 as well. So now this insert statement should work, and as you can see, it's executed, and we've got that row of data in there pointing to the customer with ID 3. So that's how the foreign key constraint works. It basically prevents the breaking of links between tables for every row in the table, right? So another thing I mentioned was that you are allowed to use the null value with the foreign key, because in some situations you might not, because based on how your business works, you might not yet be ready to assign the customer ID at the time that data is being inserted into the table. So you can assign a null value, but the important thing is to remember that you can't assign an actual value that doesn't exist. A null value works, but a value that is not present, a real value that is not present in the parent table or reference table, is not allowed. So that's a little bit about how the foreign key works. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.